back, boys and girls, with another episode of the Not So Fucking Ordinary Show. And before I start, I just gotta preface with the fact that we are in a gym right now, so you're gonna hear a lot of weight slamming, you're gonna hear some rap in the background, the AC is gonna kick on, but I just want to start off with that. So if the volume's a little not up to snuff, that's the reason why. But before I get into today's show, as always, I gotta announce the show sponsors, Fit to Give. Fit to Give is a new brand. It's focused on stainless steel shaker bottles, and it's special to me, it's special to people involved because we're donating proceeds to charities focused on higher quality water, nutrition, and education. So again, Fit to Give, check us out at fittogive.org. It's keeping the lights on this podcast. But with no further ado, let me introduce you guys to today's guest, Montae. How we doing, my man?
Good, man.
Yeah?
I'm happy to be on the show. I feel like a big wig now.
Yeah, dude, you are a big wig. You're already out angling me on this camera. I gotta sit closer to feel a little bigger, man.
I've been slimming out. Boxing a little bit more. Got out of the bodybuilding for a little bit, so I feel good now.
Hey, you're still bigger than 90% of the guys in this gym. So, where are we right now? Tell everyone where we're located, what we're doing.
We're at the new Los Campeones gym in Northeast Minneapolis. We opened this facility in June, I believe, the grand opening, and we filled this gym probably within the first 2 weeks. So my boy TJ's been training over here with us. Big community, bodybuilding, boxing, CrossFit, everything, powerlifting. So yeah, that's the gym. That's the new Los.
Yeah,
stop over if you haven't been over yet. Come holler at me, since I'll be famous by the time
there you go.
See this. So.
And what's your involvement here?
I run my training program, Be Fit Training out of here. I also run the recovery studio, which we're in right now, Be Revived Recovery. Run sports therapy programs out of the gym now too. So full time, upstairs, downstairs, we're doing it all.
I love it, man. 4:30 a.m. right there.
4:30 a.m. We're here now, like 7:30 p.m. So
yeah.
All day grind, man.
I love it, man. And that's why you're on the show.
All day grind.
I only have extraordinary people on this show, and that's why you're on here, my man.
Yeah, I promised I wasn't gonna blush, but.
All right, now let's get into this. So we'll dive into the PT and the business piece in a little bit, but I want to kind of unpeel the layers of your fitness journey. When did you start getting into fitness, and why did you start? And we'll go with that. Let's start with there.
So I started training in 2010. That was right after I played 3 years of pro football.
Whoa! I didn't know all that.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go back to that. Come on, let's go. Highlight it.
I did 3 years of pro. I was in Cleveland for 3 years, back and forth between the practice squad with the Cleveland Browns and the arena football team out there. Finally got into camp with the Vikes in 09. That was pretty much the end of my journey. I was just burned. Burned. My trainer, who was actually my mentor, he's a strength and conditioning coach with the Vikings, Mark Ellis.
Okay.
I would kind of help him give back by helping him train the college guys, the high school guys, and I just picked up so much. So when I was done playing ball, naturally I went back to that. Actually made a lot of money underneath him, and decided, this is something I wanted to do. So I went back to school, studied exercise science, kinesiology. I started my business, Be Fit Training, 2010. Initially, it was all athletes. It was sports performance. And I got into more of the fitness during the season. I ended up training some of the Vikings' wives during the season, while they were in season. And I just found so much more gratification. And that just kind of led me on my way. I started training out of Los Franklin in 2012, and man, it's just been an extreme takeoff and just a progressive thing into bodybuilding and all of the things that I'm doing now. And so, yeah, it started with football.
Yeah,
football and training athletes, and then in fitness eventually.
That's amazing, man. So you feel like that fitness passion had to overtake but replace the passion you had for football. You needed some sort of an outlet to stay active and moving. And
yeah, actually the training the athletes was my way to stay in football.
Okay.
You know, 'cause I had no idea. There was no plan B. It was football.
Right.
And so, you know, being able to train the athletes and some of my teammates, and E.J. Henderson was probably the first, you know, pro football player that I worked with at his foundation, training the kids.
Yeah.
That was my way to stay connected to football, and I didn't even know about the fitness industry and how big it was. Back then, being a personal trainer was like big fucking deal. Like if you were, now it's honestly it's watered down. Everyone's a trainer, and you look good, I can teach you how to look good. With the social media now, everyone's a trainer, online trainer, and selling programs. Not throwing shade, it's just not what it used to be. I do feel sometimes that it's been bastardized because I went to school, and another second degree and all this. But I definitely love seeing how much just the general population is picking up, and it just motivates me to always want to continue to grow, and that which led me into PT. Because then I went from personal training and sports performance into corrective exercise, which led me back to school and PT, which is what I'm doing now.
That's amazing. So talk to me about corrective exercise and what it is you're doing now, because I'm not super familiar. So how would you explain it to someone like me who just doesn't really understand it?
Everyone, when you come to the gym, everyone has imbalances. Everybody's compensating somewhere. Everyone has muscle deficiencies. Not knowing, because you just get used to walking a certain way. You get used to compensating a certain way. And
you're probably analyzing the shit out of my walk.
Everybody who walks by me, I watch them. It's a gift and a curse.
You know, people are always asking me if I'm injured. I just have like this natural, like, it's by far not a pimp walk. It is just like injuries on top of injuries on top of injuries, you know?
We all have them, just wear and tear over life. And what I love to do is address those imbalances and those deficiencies, because you come in, you train, you get strong, those imbalances get strong as well. So it's harder to correct them. Neck pain, shoulder pain, back pain, chronic, it's prevalent. Everyone has something going on with them. And that's kind of what led me into further, like, how can I fix this? How can I address this? And it was corrective exercise. The more that I dove into corrective exercise, it changed my training programs completely. Everything that we did back in 2010 was like bench, squat, clean, everything, pick up the heaviest weight as many times, and it's completely different now. It's more foundation work, core, and working through the fascial chains, and it's so much fun and creative now, actually. But that's how I progressed. So corrective exercise is basically just identifying those imbalances, training those deficiencies to kind of balance out those muscular imbalances.
Okay.
That's the long way. You said short, but
no, that's awesome, man. I think that's really cool, and it's a great way for you to differentiate yourself in a, as you said, somewhat of a, not somewhat, but truly a saturated, you know, industry of trainers, and everyone's into fitness and athletics now. So good for you for being able to navigate, you know, the market and continue to add value to people that are looking to enhance their physical and internal health. So that's awesome. So in terms of goals and vision and what you see in your future for your career, what does that look like?
Man, honestly, I get a ton of gratitude, gratification in training the everyday clients. I love my client base right now. Like, I have a first grade school teacher. I have it seems like all my clients, I have lawyers, just all different spectrum, different goals. I get so much gratification training them, but I honestly see I'll retire doing physical therapy. I love using my brain now to kind of figure out ways to correct things and to help people feel better and move better and just elevate their quality of life, man. We get older, you know, I just watch people. I see parents, you know, with their kids at the playground, and they sit down and watch their kids.
Right.
That's not living, you know, you're not enjoying your seeds and at the stage when you're gonna enjoy them the most. So I honestly see myself retiring, doing physical therapy, doing some real estate stuff too. Recently partnering with a couple chiropractors, so business is skyrocketing in there already. So it'll be physical therapy. I'll never not do training though. I'll never not train people. So It definitely won't be my primary business, but definitely the physical therapy.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. That's a good
I'm
perspective.
excited.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
yeah. You know, we skipped over a super major chapter in your story, and that is your individual fitness career and path.
Yeah.
Well, let's rewind the clock a little
Yeah.
bit and go back to that, because I think you intentionally skipped over that because you're already blushing. But let's talk about that a little bit, because that is something that you should be super proud of, and I want to highlight. And I think you're going to be able to have a tremendous amount of impact on the people watching if we really do a good job of dissecting it. So let's rewind a little bit. So, IFBB Pro, tell me what, and this is for physique, men's physique, and tell me when your very first show was.
2014.
Okay, where was that at?
2014, it was Natural Mr. Minnesota.
Okay, and tell me about that show. How did it go?
I did that show, me and my buddy Anthony Williams. He was on the show.
Oh, yeah. What's
He's
up,
my
Anthony?
training partner. We've been killing it in the gym since I walked into Los.
That's
me
awesome.
and him started. He was not the Anthony he is right now. I wasn't me now, but we did that show together. We both lost.
Really?
We both lost.
And when you say lost, you mean you just didn't
I
take
didn't
first,
show
or you
that-
didn't even take top?
Ricky Bobby, you the first
There
and
you
last,
go, I like
man.
it.
So I lost. I know I looked a lot better than the guy. I didn't understand.
Was it posing?
It wasn't that. They said I was too big. I was too muscular, and I turned around and said, this is the bodybuilding show, you know. It wasn't my show. The Natural Mr. Minnesota is not the same look. It was more of a lifeguard, like a lifestyle fitness look.
Yeah.
I didn't know the difference. I just wanted to be as cut and lean as I wanted. I've always been strong from football. I've always had that strong foundation. So when I went into bodybuilding, I was just always naturally the strongest guy. I was not the biggest, but I was always the strongest. So I was able to put on a lot of muscle pretty quick. So I was by far the most muscular men's physique guy at the show, and they didn't like the look. I stood out.
Isn't that crazy how that works?
I stood out so bad. And I'm like, well, that means I won.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't win.
It's crazy. You have to fit their profile.
Man, I was salty, man. I
don't blame you.
I was like butthurt. Fuck this.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
And my boy Anthony said we gotta go to the NPC. We're too good for it, and which didn't make sense. I just wanted to be Mr. Minnesota. So I didn't stop. I went to another show. My coach at the time, Leif Anderson, he said, you're too big for this show. Like, this show just isn't big enough. So he took me to Chicago, and man, I lined up. Here there was maybe like 8 guys. Out there had to be 30 easily in my class. I won the overall there, and then naturally you win an open show, you win your natural pro card. So I made my pro debut. This is 2015 now. I made my pro debut at Natural Mr. Universe.
Okay.
And my coach,
dude.
he thought it was a good idea because there was a former Natural Mr. Olympia who was making a return.
Okay.
There was the year before Natural Mr. Universe, and there was a current Natural Mr. USA, all going to this show.
Damn, dude.
And he's like, yo, if you'll go win that, you'll be favored for Olympia. And I'm like, man, Olympia?
Yeah,
When did that
crazy.
become a goal?
That's crazy.
So I did that. I won that, which qualified me for the Natural Olympia. 4 months later, I went on to Vegas and I won Natural Olympia.
Damn, I didn't know that.
That's how I
That's
started.
why I have this show, man.
That's how
I'm
I
learning things
started,
about
man.
you. Pro football player now, goddamn,
Pro
Natural Mr. Olympia.
bodybuilder,
That's crazy.
Natural Mr. Olympia. The owners of the federation, they were pushing me to go and promote the league and to be out and doing these things, and I literally would have I had to make a decision because I was getting older, my body was growing. I would have to kind of cut back on my training to fit into that mold. I was probably bigger than a lot of the natural bodybuilders at that time, and I was only growing. The more I learned about nutrition and supplementation and just my work ethic, I love training, and I know that comes from my football background and my training partner Anthony Williams. Like, I can only grow, so I had to make a decision. I can grow and continue to push my physique, or I can kind of hold this position as natural Olympian. I chose to switch over to the NPC, and I made my NPC debut at the Gopher State. I won the overall there. So, you know, everyone was telling me, you know, all these guys are on supplements, you're gonna have to, you can't do that when you're natural. I'm like, well, you know, let's see what happens.
Right.
So I won that overall.
That's crazy, dude.
I went to nationals. I intentionally picked the last show of the year because I didn't want to be able to pull out of any show.
Yeah.
So I went to NPC Nationals in Miami in November 2016, and I won.
That's crazy.
There, so I won my IFBB Pro card. I lost that first show and I never lost again.
That's amazing.
It lit something.
Do you think your journey would have been different if you won that first show?
It would 100%, and I talk about that a lot. That was probably the best thing that could have happened to me. If I would have won that, I would have never went, you know, to all the natural Olympics. The work ethic that you have to have as a natural bodybuilder is by far, you know, it supersedes anything that, any supplementation, any training program. Like, you literally have to know your body, and now that's what bodybuilding is, you know, figuring out the thing, your weaknesses for the most part, and constantly adapting and change. And I couldn't take the diet that I was on 3 years ago and started today and get the same results. I think that's what I love about bodybuilding. I made my pro debut this past summer. I did 2 shows. I did one in Denver. I made top 10, and I did another one in Miami. I made top 10. I had a class of 42 pros, and it's kind of crazy when you're up there with pros.
Yeah, dude.
There's still 40
I saw the pictures,
of them.
man. You look fantastic.
I appreciate
That's
that,
my
man.
boy.
So
Shit.
I'm like, I gotta take time off and grow now. You know, like the bar is so high, and I was a little burnt out. You know, just trying to keep up with those guys. Took time off in the last 6 months. I've been boxing. You know, just been in the gym. I picked up boxing. It was something that I did when I was young too, boxing. And now I have a match scheduled for December 7th. So.
Oh, look at you.
I mean, I'm just checking off this
man.
bucket list.
Yeah.
Man. You know, I'm gonna do everything physical that I can do right now, because we only get older. You know what I'm saying? So.
I like that.
Big fitness journey. I appreciate you asking me. I'll get lost in all this shit.
No, it's good, man. You know, one thing that I really respect and, you know, flat out admire about your physique is that it's very well balanced and proportioned. And you're in a sport where they make it seem like balance and proportion is important, but it really is. I mean, come on. You look at the shoulder to waist ratio, it's not balanced anymore, and I have nothing against it, but it's obviously getting very extreme. And I don't know if this was like fake news or if there's actually some truth behind it, but I heard that they're going to be docking points for that extreme wide shoulder to waist ratio. I have no idea if that's true, but
right now, at the present state, this is my opinion, I don't think they'll be able to do that right now because they've allowed it to get
so extreme.
It's so extreme. I call it mass building now. Bodybuilding, that's mass building, which has made way for the new classic physique division, which is amazing, and I cannot wait to, you know, get myself into that division. That is what I see bodybuilding as. It's classic physique, classic bodybuilding. That's something I call it.
Still showing off the legs.
Still showing off the legs. That the taper, the aesthetics. I always
nice
thought that
poses,
Anthony would be the perfect classic physique. Sean Roden is classic physique. A lot of these guys now, man.
Yeah,
I don't know. But you know, bodybuilding with the comeback the last 10 years, that's what everyone's coming to see. Those big, massive. It's impressive. I don't know if you've been to a pro bodybuilding show to see those guys live, man.
No, I haven't.
I marvel if you're just able to put on that much muscle mass. At the same time, I appreciate the aesthetics. So to me, it just looks awkward. You know, I don't personally want to walk around like that, and then kind of have to maintain. I just wouldn't enjoy that much mass.
And that's what I respect about you, because like I said, you're in an environment that is promoting this extremeness in every aspect of the physique. But you know, you're here looking in the mirror saying, this is what I want to develop, this is how I want to look like now and in the future, and you're not necessarily conforming, which is great. And you probably learned that from your first show, because here you are coming in trying to be I mean, not trying to be, you were the biggest and I'm sure you were the best conditioned, but because of the judges' opinions, they said, you're not going to win this show. So it doesn't really make sense to me to try and, warp to the judges' opinions. It's just, I've always been on a individual journey of walking in my own, perfect physique, if you will, and that's how I look at it.
And then it's always the question, what's the perfect physique? Because people have different preferences. Bodybuilding shows sell, period. If there's a pro bodybuilding show, it's going to be sold out. So people come to see that. Men's physique shows, bikini. The more attainable looks, I guess, is how they explain it. People come out to see that as well. So I guess it's everyone has their own, preference of what they like. I think it's very impressive that people are able to put on. I mean, I see how much time and the effort it takes to develop, any type of muscle mass.
And to shape it and mold it.
We have one of the top bodybuilders in the world, Charles Griffin, at our gym, and just to see him day in and day out, what he's able to do, he's able to actually maintain some really, really good aesthetics and still hold his own on the stage with those mass guys.
Fucking mass monster.
And you walk past him every day, you get a good idea of where you stand and him.
I saw that guy like 3 years ago, and I still like the impression you have, like, I've never seen someone that big.
And it's admirable. You just watch his work ethic, and so you only can imagine what those top 10 guys in the world are doing. And Charles Griffin is right there with them. And I see him day in and day out. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen him with a slice of pizza in his hand. Never. Not that he doesn't eat it, I'm sure, but I've never seen him not do it. So, I don't shit on those guys. That's just their prerogative and their preference. But to be able to develop yourself and still maintain aesthetics, to me, is always going to be the standard. Man.
That's amazing. Let's dive into the mindset a little bit, because we started to kind of segue into that naturally. As you look back at your overall career and all, I guess, 3 or 4 of those different buckets you mentioned, the football career, the stepping on stage, the PT, what do you think would be like the 3 most fundamental blocks of character that you've been able to either leverage throughout that journey or learn throughout the process?
That's a good question, man.
I mean, you've already mentioned work ethic is probably one of them.
Number one, and man, I come from, everyone has their story. I come from nothing, man. And I've always been playing catch up. All my life, I've been playing catch up. So I've always had that underdog mentality. I've always had that hunger for more, and every milestone, everything that I've accomplished, I've never been satisfied. So the work ethic is one.
And I think that's a huge blessing. Like, it's interesting debate because there's always 2 sides of the coin, at least. Maybe there's 4 or 5 or 6, but you have the people that come from extreme privilege, and you have the people that are in really tough circumstances. And it's interesting to hear both sides of the coin, because there's both pros and cons. But where I'm going with this is, do you think you would still have that drive and hunger if you didn't have such a tough upbringing?
I'll be honest, man. I've achieved some success. I've been dead broke, homeless as a kid and as an adult. I've had luxury apartments downtown. I drive Range Rovers and Escalades. So, success, I felt both. The more success I've attained, the more I've thrived, for more. And I know that only comes from knowing what it feels like to not have. So I just know for me, I just feel like there's no better motivation than being at the bottom and knowing what it feels like to not have and to want. If you've never wanted something or had the need to meet a demand or a want, I don't think you would. It's not something you can turn on. It's something that's programmed in me. It's not something that I'm ashamed of. I talk about it all the time, man. But privilege and coming from poverty it's completely two different. I don't know. I can't see a person from poverty. I'll just always say, I'll work everybody, all hustle, no luck. That is just my motto. I'll work everybody, all hustle, no luck. I don't care how smart someone is or how privileged, where they start. If we have the same goal, I'm not gonna stop until I get there. And I'll be willing to put my work ethic and my talents against anyone. I'm not the smartest, but I know what it's like to not have. And if you've never tasted that, there's no way that you're willing to sacrifice as much as I am to get to what, that common goal. So to answer your question, man, no, I feel like privilege is something that you can get used to. And anytime you get used to something, that's gonna kill that hunger, that satisfaction.
Well said.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
100%. That's perfect.
That's my perspective.
Yeah, that's
I don't
great,
know
man.
everything, but I know where I came from, and I know how many people I've surpassed. I'm partnering with people, doctors, and they come and they call and they ask me about certain things pertaining to soft tissue and my experience, working with certain people, and it is humbling, but it's just like, man, I don't care where you start. I don't care where you start. If you have that work ethic and if you really want something and you won't stop to get it, you'll surpass anybody. Especially if you come from privilege. I'm biased. I don't know if you picked that up. I'm biased, man. But I don't know. I know some people that come from privilege who handle their business. If you're set on that path and you just have to maintain it, and you do that, cool. Hats off to you. Not shit. I know some people that come from privilege that fuck it off and end up, behind.
That's why I started with the fact that it's an interesting debate, because someone who comes from, the rough trenches, they have that hunger, that drive, and they only see upward. Whereas someone who starts in more of a privileged environment, it's like, mommy, daddy, you already set me up. There's no drive, there's no will to get up out of bed. So it's an interesting debate, but then of course on the same side of that coin is that person in privilege might want to outdo mommy and daddy and have their own goals, whatever it is. So, I asked the question because I'm just curious to know everyone's perspectives. I have very interesting guests on the show, and I like to understand, okay, you've been able to create this level of success. Why? How? What drives it? What's the fuel behind the fire? And so there isn't a right or wrong. I just want to highlight it.
I'll say another big thing is I had a kid young. I had my junior when I was 17. I didn't have my parents growing up. I was raised literally by the streets, man. And
Minneapolis?
Minneapolis.
Okay.
Yeah. And I knew even at that age that I wasn't gonna let him experience those same hardships that I did. Man.
Sure.
And I did everything. And I always said that was my reason then, and he's my reason now. Everything to make sure that he has every opportunity that I didn't. I didn't know how to be a good dad. I didn't know how to be a good role model, but I know what not having a dad felt like. I know what not having opportunity felt like. So probably since high school, that's been my biggest drive. He was 2 weeks old when I graduated high school, and he's graduating high school now this spring, man. So damn, that makes me feel old. But I say overall, my junior, he's been my biggest push, man.
Oh, sure.
My determination to make sure he has every opportunity that I didn't. Maybe get him a little bit further along on that privilege line that I, bad to talk about. Right. But he better get on that line and surpass me. Man. He has no choice because
don't make it easy on him, man. I mean, the bar's already high, but you're moving it up.
Yeah. I always say that, he'll hear the stories, he'll hear about the struggle, he'll know, where his people come from, but he'll never experience it firsthand. You know what I'm saying? So that's been my motivation to you. That's my biggest motivation.
I love that. Yeah, that's great. So what would you tell, what's your son's name?
Montae.
Oh, is that right? Does he go by MJ? Montae Jr.?
He goes by Junior.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you tell Junior, and what would you tell Junior, as well as a lot of the people watching and listening that are trying to move towards their goals? They sit down, they write them down, figure out what they want to do in 3, 5, 10 years, but they're having a hard time attaining those goals. What are some principles or blocks of character that you would recommend to those people in order to actually attain those goals?
Yeah. Man, you got the questions, man. Good questions. I appreciate them.
Hey, no rush. No rush. Go ahead.
Probably be if it's big enough for you to have to lay out a plan for it, then it's obviously worth, attaining.
Yeah.
And if it's not worth attaining, why make a plan?
It's a good insight.
So you have to have a why. It's kind of cliche, but I mean, if you have something that you really want, first of all, really make a decision with yourself that you want it. Because it's so easy to turn kind of halfway, kind of want something, and it's easy to turn away from it.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I wanted to be a professional athlete. I played in a not so good football conference in high school. I wasn't recruited enough to get a D1 big offer. I was offered walk-ons at a couple D1s in the U of M, but I didn't let that deter me from what I said I'm gonna do. Okay, well then what else do I have to do?
Yep.
There's not one way and that door closes. Don't use that as an excuse to stop. Find another way, come through the window, go around, check if the back door is open.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't get through that first door, don't stop knocking. Don't stop looking for other ways to get there. You know what I'm saying? That's probably my biggest thing is don't stop at every roadblock. Every roadblock is not stop. It's either climb over it, go around it, figure out a way. Sometimes back up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If you really look at it, the roadblock isn't this big, that thing that's gonna stop you if you back up. Oh, it's really this big, I can go around. Pick up from people who are doing what you're doing. If there's somebody around you that is at the level that you want to be, man, link with them, learn from them. I mean, they got there, and just don't reinvent the wheel all of the time, Learn as much as you can. Don't stop learning. Learn everything that you can. I say this now. I went to school now, studying my 3rd degree. When I went to college for free, I didn't learn a damn thing.
That's how it works, man.
I didn't learn a damn thing. I was going to school for football. So learn as much as you can. Like with Google, we have the internet. There's so many avenues to learn things now. Just don't stop learning. Learn everything there is to do with whatever it is that you're trying to attain. That's probably my biggest thing. Don't stop at the roadblocks. Don't stop learning.
That's great.
Find somebody that's doing what you're doing.
That's great.
Pick up, link on with them. Give your time, time equity.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the biggest thing. I learned to give my time and just to be around people and just watch how it all reciprocates. Now everything's coming to me. People are asking me to come into their, businesses now. Literally calling me, asking if they can give me money to do things, and where I remember as $1, there was no one I can call to get $1.
Right.
Now it feels like money's calling me, so they pay you for what you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always been the thing for me, so learn as much as you can.
That's great, man. I love that. I love that. Another question that's going to come from left field a little bit as we wrap up. Are you the type of guy, I feel like I know the answer, but are you the type of, and it's not a right or wrong answer, are you the type of guy that when you have a goal, let's say when you wanted to play football or when you wanted to step on stage, you set that goal and that's it? You're 100% laser focused on that one thing? Or are you more the type of guy that juggles multiple things? And before you answer that, I'll let you know I'm one of the type of guys that I like to go laser focused on multiple things. I have to be juggling multiple balls, but I appreciate the laser focus on one thing, and I believe that's the path for most people. Mm-hmm. But I'm just curious to know what your 2 cents are.
A little bit of both. I think a lot of what I do has to have something to do with what I'm doing. I don't go off too far on, like, if I see my life going this way and this is what I'm doing right now at this point in my life, I won't deviate too far. Mm-hmm. So everything that I do has something to do with what I'm doing.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. That's how I looked at it too, It's kind of a weird analogy, but I feel like a lot of the things that I'm dabbling in, when I envision it, it's like either there's 2 metaphors. You can say an octopus with different tentacles, or little rivers connecting into the big stream. So when I look at my podcast, my business, my real estate investing, my corporate career, like stuff like that. It's all these little rivers connecting into the Amazon.
They still
That's how I look at it. But sorry.
So at any given time, all the things that I'm doing, some of them take priority, and then that's where the laser focus comes in. When I'm bodybuilding, I'm already in the gym training clients every day. I'm already up here doing physical therapy every day. That becomes my focus. What happens, I just get more structured in doing these things that I'm doing, which leads my focus, you know what I mean? So as it gets closer and as needed, that focus comes in even more, but it doesn't necessarily draw too much away from the other things I'm doing because for the most part, they're all tied in. So a little bit of both.
Okay.
I'm laser focused. I know when it's time to get down to it, if that's my priority right now, it's getting done.
Yeah, I'm really glad I asked that question because that's, clearly that's how I operate too. And I think it's rare, and I don't think it's good or, better than any other approach, but I feel like most people are either laser focused on one thing or they're half-assing a million different things. It's really hard to find the individual who's pretty laser fucking focused on a lot of different things, but they are able to prioritize the time in their day and execute when it's time to execute on that task.
I have this problem, and my grandmother, she actually told me this, and I was bragging about all the things I was doing one time, and she put me in my place so quick. It was simple, and I was almost about to mean grandma, and she just said so simple: a jack of all trades is a master of none.
Perfect.
I'm like, what? Oh, you're a jack of all trades. And I was, I'm doing this, and a jack of all trades is a master of none. She followed it up with that. And I'm like, damn. She was like, what of those, 4 or 5 things are you mastering? What of those 4 or 5 things are you the man? You're the go-to. At any given time, it's you. You're it. Damn. I'm pretty good at this. I'm pretty good at that. I'm pretty good at this. I'm not so good at that. I'm still doing it. Damn, I wasn't a master of any, and it's like, no matter how hard you try, you cannot be a master unless, I believe, those things are somehow intertwined, because everything that I do is making me better at what I'm doing.
And there's synergies across all the different avenues.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I stay pretty much, I have a idea of what I want my life to be. I have an idea of the path and how I'm going to get there. So I don't deviate off too much. So I'm able to, when need be, I can focus, I can lock in without losing touch too much of the other things that I'm doing.
That's great. I love that, man. All right, before we wrap up, this is your opportunity to ask me a question. It's something I started doing recently, I think a couple episodes ago. Just came out naturally, and I said, you know what? Brings a new dimension to the interview here. It can be about anything.
All right. So when I met you, we met at Uptown Fitness. Uptown LA Fitness, right? And you're super personable. I just see you talking to random people, waving, speaking to people as they walk by. We were introduced by Anthony Williams. What is your goal for your physique when you train? I see you in here now, twice a day, most days, right? Morning and night. What is your goal for your physique?
That's a simple answer, man. I'm trying to look like you. It's super simple, man. I'm trying to put on a little size, stay well balanced, but athletic. And that's the truth. You're a big ass dude, but you're still out here boxing. You're still athletic, and that's my goal too. I want people. I don't do it for other people, but it helps explain my goal. I want people to be able to look at me and say, "This guy works out." I want the big guys to be like, how is he so fucking lean? And then I want the small lean guys to be like, how is he so athletic and big? So I'm just looking for like this all around athletic look. I don't necessarily try and pinpoint like a specific weight. When I look in the mirror, I know what I want and what I don't like when I look in the mirror. Just well-balanced physique, athletic looking, functional, aesthetic, which is obviously subjective, but just really well-balanced, almost like a fitness model look.
Nice.
I want to be able to run, jump, box, and still throw the weights around.
All right, question. B.
Ooh, two-parter, okay.
It's a two-part. So with this, it's hard to stay motivated for anyone. For myself, I usually have a why. I have a show coming up, or I have a goal that I want to get to in the off season. What keeps you on track? What keeps you motivated? Obviously, your personal goals, but we all have a why for the most part. I spoke on that. Sometimes you're sore, you're tired, you're doing all these things, real estate, your business. What keeps you going? What keeps you motivated?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that one, because I ask myself that every single day. And it's not like I'm searching for the answer, I just remind myself. And the reason why I train, like you said, twice a day, Monday through Friday and one Saturday, Sunday, no days off, is coming to the gym it's honestly my oxygen. Like my work schedule, and as I was mentioning, kind of all the little rivers I have coming in my stream, I have very busy days, like late to you, the 4:30 a.m.s to midnights, whatever the day looks like. And so for me, waking up in the morning and having something super exciting to go to, which is not for everyone, but for me, I like going to the gym. Not always, of course, there's days where I don't want to wake up and go throw weights around, but for me, it's about getting my mind and body in a state that allows me to attack the shitstorm of a day that's coming. Not that I hate my days, but if you look at my calendar, I block off every 10 minutes and I make sure every 10 minutes is accounted for. Sometimes it's hour blocks, sometimes it's 30-minute blocks, sometimes it's 7-minute meetings, but I make sure it's always blocked off so I waste no time. And in order to keep that level of energy and focus and engagement is to be in good health. But if I roll out of bed in the morning, I don't have that fucking attack mode. I have to wake up and attack. Like, I'm not the person to hit the snooze or crawl out. It's like, I wake my alarm clock up and I go. I swear, I shit you not. And I come to the gym and you see me in here 20, 30 minutes. It's no rest, it's just quick. It's about getting the blood flowing. And it allows me to prepare my mind more than anything. It puts me in a very positive mental state. So as I'm in the gym, I'm reviewing, okay, what's on the agenda for today? And when I feel like I'm in control of the day's not controlling me. Everything that's on the agenda is like, let's fucking go. You know what I mean? So
that is awesome, man.
Appreciate that.
And what you mentioned, I explained it as health, man. That's mental health, that physical health. People lose that aspect in health and fitness. They lose the health part. And I kind of categorize what you explained as the health side of fitness, man. People lose touch of that. And I love to hear that a guy like yourself explains what the gym means to you. Everyone wants to get strong and look good and obviously increase their quality of life through fitness, but that health, that mental health aspect,
it's this for me.
Mental fatigue shows up on your body, man. I've had days where I just cannot move. I want to move, I got stuff to do, but that mental fatigue kicks in, man, and you're in here pretty much conditioned, your mental health, man. So I salute you on that.
Let's drill into that a little bit, because I think it'll bring a lot of value to people watching and listening. I mean, again, having a nice physique is the byproduct of what happens out here. But for me, I come in to train this. And so, like I said, if I can come in and prepare my mind for the day, that's one thing. But it also allows me to come into the gym, and I say this a lot, but when I come to the gym, I usually will walk in with problems, but through the movement and the thought process that happens in the gym, I come in with problems, walk out with solutions. And again, it's just like when you can force yourself to wake up and to go to the gym. And again, I love the gym, but I don't love it every day. And like you said, when you do it every day, you get fatigued. But that teaches you something. And for me, how I translate it is it creates the blueprint. And it creates the blueprint of discipline, due diligence, work ethic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if you can do that in this environment, when I'm making cold calls and I'm getting tired and I'm getting fatigued, wow, is that really similar to the 8th rep?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's being able to recognize, okay, the burn on this set gives me an opportunity to make a decision. Do I put the weight down, or do I recognize this pain as an opportunity to keep moving forward and to grow?
You're preaching right now, man. You're preaching right now, man. Yes.
We can go for hours, man. I love this
right
shit,
now,
man. I love this.
Yeah, so like, man, that aspect, I think, I just wish so many more people would talk the way that you just talked about fitness. The mental aspect, man, the mental game. It's probably the biggest thing that is left out of bodybuilding, is the mental game. People, bodybuilding is hard. You eat the same food and you do these. You go to the gym every day. Physically, you get tired. We know you're gonna get tired. No one talks about that mental life. It's like, man, I'm hurt. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I'm sore. All of these things, but I'm going.
Yeah, exactly.
To the gym, you know
Exactly.
I wish people would talk about that more. So I'm glad.
That's why we're here, man. We're talking about it, you know.
Yeah, I'm glad you.
Again, hopefully the people watching and listening can take away some value from this. If you're not into fitness, you know, obviously we encourage some sort of activity for the reasons we just listed. And then if you are currently into fitness, which a lot of your followers definitely are, you know, try to figure out why are you training. Is it just an aesthetic piece? There's nothing wrong with that, but see if you can take it to another level, because I'm sure if you can drive into more why, not only are you going to develop your physique to a higher state, but again, the mental aspect that's going to translate into those other areas can be fucking unstoppable. So cool, man. Before we wrap up, tell everyone where they can find you. You know, your personal Instagram, your businesses, how can they contact you?
So Montae Bailey is my whole on Facebook and Instagram. I don't do the Twitter or the Twitter.
Yeah, I don't do
tweet. I don't do anything. Instagram is the best way, at Montae Bailey. Be revived. Simplybook.me. Pull up my schedule, all the services. We do recovery. We have the Normatec boots. We have Theragun, cupping, Graston, everything, man. If you're not feeling good, you're sore, you're tight, you're injured, recovery, anything, check out that booking link, berevived.simplybook.me. Pretty much, I don't have too much more of a social presence. You know,
Okay, that's enough, man.
I appreciate that. That big shout, I'm sure, is millions, right?
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so, man.
Yeah.
Well, Montae, really appreciate it, man. This was awesome.
You, brother.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, guys, there you have it. Another episode of Not So Fucking Ordinary Show.